It's Judgment Night on Channel 5. Troy Williamson defends his British Super Welterweight Championship against the pretty boy Josh Kelly. Who wins? Find out Friday, December the 2nd, 9 p.m, live and free on Channel 5.
This is Lewis Hart from Boxing Social. Ahead of a very busy week, I am delighted to be joined with Mr. Kalle Sauerland. We're here, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. How are we doing?
Busy week, busy weeks. We've come from Austin, Texas with Misfits Boxing on DAZN. Then we've gone to Channel 5, smashed some viewing numbers yesterday. I've got the numbers, 1.9 million last Friday, Harlem Eubank. Then Saturday we had a rough night with our man Nathan Gorman. He will be back. And here we are, Tuesday. Before going up to I'm going to get on to what we're doing here in a minute. Then we're going up to the northeast and taking over there with Josh Kelly, Troy Williamson. And today, on this cold day, we have heated the country up with Eubank Smith. By popular demand, I would say the fans made this fight. Delighted to get it announced and put out there today here. Amazing. A fight that I, as a fan, especially after that press conference, am well and truly lit for.
We'll go into the press conference in a minute. I just wanted to touch on Texas. How was it like getting a latte thrown at you? How was that?
Well, you know what? I know that Dylan Dennis takes a lot of sugar in his lattes because I had sugar all over my hair. In fact, I had another TV appointment straight afterwards. I had to quickly go past my room to actually have a shower because I got all the bloody coffee over me. And before people get funny about that clip, there is that clip of me punching the nobody. That wasn't a punch. I was simply going like that. I wasn't sure if there was another coffee coming. So yeah. Anyway,
I'm sure it's nothing you've sort of back to the serious business. A lot of needle there in the press conference. Like I said to you before, this is a real fight for the fans, and it's definitely going to be one on January 21st.
Yeah, listen. I mean, like I've said before, up there, I had the pleasure of promoting Paul Smith, Callum Smith. Never promoted a fight with Beefy before, but I know Beefy since many years, and he's definitely the fiery one. And that just works well off Eubank because he's fiery. He just counters off that, so you're going to get a fun build-up. But forget all that. Let's look at it from a fight. It's a fight that the fans have called for, and it's a fight that, when you look at the styles, I'd say they've got a lot of strengths, both of them. I wouldn't put down the defence as one of the major strengths of either fighter, and that's when you know you're going to get an absolute war. And I think the fact it's in Manchester as well, with those famous nights in the Manchester Arena. It's got to wait. Was it 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks? I'm buzzing.
Before, when Liam Smith signed with Sky, it was always the talk of potentially the Eubank Jr. fight. He's got it delivered to him. Obviously you promote Eubank as well. Unfortunately, I think it was the best option for Eubank. After Benn fell off, it was a no-brainer to try and move forward with the Liam Smith fight. Was that what you were thinking?
No, well, look, I mean, we can talk obviously about belts, but the undisputed superstar of the division at the moment is Chris Eubank Jr. There's no one who brings more to the table. It's the pro game. It's about tickets, it's about money, and that's what he brings to the table. So you're a magnet for big fights. So we had 3 fights on the table. Came down to Junior, his decision, and he was, like I said, 1.5 seconds it took him to decide.
What is it now with Chris Eubank Jr. moving forward? Is it about the biggest fights possible, or is it looking at world titles? What is your real aim? Say moving into 2023 with Chris Eubank.
Biggest fights. Not looking past Eubank Smith at the moment. It's a huge fight. It's about delivering blockbuster fights, and it starts on January 21st at the Manchester Arena on Sky Box Office. Eubank Smith. That's all I can say. Plans in place, but plans in boxing you've got to be careful with. Not looking past January 21 right now.
I know you don't speak for Chris Eubank Jr., but how difficult is it for him when he was fighting obviously the potential fight with Conor Benn, where he has to boil down to a weight he's never boiled down before, and eventually that fight he puts a lot into a camp and it never happens through no fault of his own. How difficult is that to try and pick yourself up again after going through something like that?
You answered my question. You gave the answer in your question. I can't really speak for him. I know that. I can't imagine it. I can't begin to imagine it. I can probably imagine it more than the man on the street can imagine it, because I've been around fighters all my life. I've been around fighters when they've had fights pulled last minute. Someone's got a flu on the day. They've had a raised temperature. I've had it. Fighters pull out an hour before. We had one with Josh Kelly this year. The opponent didn't come out the locker room. Out the hotel room to the venue. So I've seen it like that all before. But this one was brutal. Yeah. And because of some of the handling, I don't want to go into this too much again, but some of it could have been spared, and it weren't, so it was even more brutal. But I spent sort of it was the weekend, he was alone with his family, then Monday, Tuesday we spent together. He did his giveaway with his merch, so sticked around him a bit and spoke to him and got a feel of him, and he's a true pro. Yeah? I mean, he's a true pro, and he looks at it and gets on with it. He goes, I want to be out like now. And we really try to make this for December. It's a tricky one with a World Cup on big fights like this. I really, especially the weekend we had sort of an eye on was December 17th, and then it's always very difficult with the World Cup. We don't know, does England make it to the final with that historic win? We all hope so, pray so and dream so, but that would have fallen on that weekend. And we're trying to promote a big pay-per-view event. It wouldn't have been ideal. We even looked at going Boxing Day with it. You got away and on Christmas Day, you got other problems to deal with. So, we're okay with January 21st. Doesn't really affect the way the year will go. But like I said, right now it's Eubank Smith. It's a fight that I really believe will end up being an historic fight on sporting merit alone.
You said that Eubank is the undisputed superstar in the middleweight division. Do you feel like, without him fighting with the Benn whole situation with Benn, the way he handled it, do you feel like his stock has gone up, like I said, without him fighting?
Absolutely the way he handled it. I think there's a lot of compassion for him. But he's got to take that over into his next fight. That don't pay the bills, I don't, when I say that, I don't, people say, that's the typical Eubank camp arrogance, the undisputed superstar. Let me put that into layman's terms, right? That means he brings the most eyeballs to a fight in the division at the moment, bar none. We can talk about Triple G, we can talk about Charlo, but he's the one now who has the most eyeballs on him in that division. Love him or hate him, it doesn't really matter, but that's what it is.
When you see at the press conference, especially he's done it a lot in the Benn fight, and now, when he's saying stuff like 50%, 60%, he's got the KFC jacket on. What do you make of that? It's a sort of a great way to sort of sell himself.
It's just Junior, isn't it? He sort of does it naturally. He's not really trying to sell anything. He's just sort of that's what he does. He's quirky, he's funny like that, but he does his thing. He does it always a little bit differently, I find. Every fight's got a little bit of a different take on it. I think we really saw that in the Benn build-up, but we also saw it out there today. I don't know, I think he's changed a bit over the years. We all change a bit over the years, but I've worked with him now for quite a few years. 6 years on and off. World Boxing Super Series. So I've done a lot of media work with him, press conferences, and he's always got a different take on it. So was I laughing when he came up with a KFC jacket? Absolutely. Did I know about it? Absolutely not. And did it surprise me? No, it didn't surprise me. Wouldn't have surprised me if he would have walked in, been driven in on a Harley Davidson. It wouldn't have surprised me. It's what he does.
And just to finish off, last question from me. You've revealed this fight has a rematch clause if Eubank Jr. loses. What was sort of the reason for putting that in the contract?
Because very simple. In my 20-something years of being in boxing, if I control the A side, which we firmly are in this event, my fighters won't get into a ring without a rematch clause. That's not Junior asking for it. That's the way I run my business.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and best of luck for this weekend. All the future endeavours.